I've spoken before about the power of community, about how when individuals that are focused on a similar goal, not the same goal, a similar goal, raise the level of all that are in communication. And that occurred last night. And it brought back two home truths for me. It does not matter in community if how different you are on the surface, how different your details are, how different your titles are. There is a core experience that we experience as humanity, and I'm going to use the example of women because my circle is for women. Um, that there are so many touchstones where even if it's not your exact experience, it evokes something in you. And when you tie that to a larger story and context, not only are you going to get out of the way of your own story, you're going to understand it and give you a different perspective on it as well, but you're tying it to something bigger than you. You're discovering the root of where it came from. You're even touching on the collective unconscious, meaning those symbols that we all hold together. How many stories are there of the victim mentality or feeling like you don't measure up? Those are not just your own stories. Those are stories culturally that we've been handed, but they're stories that are part of the collective. And when you get to shine a light on those, that first of all, their weight gets lighter, and it's also a shared weight. It brings you out of isolation, it brings you into community and into really an intimate container where all you have to do is be who you are. In fact, I insist that you leave your titles at the door and just be. I want the core of you, I don't want your trappings. So in that rarefied space that you work to create, the universal language that sings through all of us comes out and is identified and clear. And again, it's all about tying to something. You take it from the microcosm of the chamber of your heart to your experience in the world, to your experience with other women, to your experience in your community, and to your experience in this galactic, larger than us story. And it's amazing how many of those humble, simple stories resonate as universal stories. You fall into the pit? Well, there are lots of falls from grace, both the biggest story and the tiniest story. And you're part of all of that. And in community, you can be heard and seen and elevated. If you find yourself alone, if you find yourself isolated, you need to reach out. You can reach out to me. It's in the isolation that, first of all, we insulate ourselves for something bigger, right? We stay where our ego is telling us it's safe. So we don't expand, we contract. And that's the very time when you need to reach out for not assistance. I'm not helping you. We're giving each other tools to elevate all of us at the same time. So don't allow those voices that tell you draw in. I would say this is the time to reach out. I would say this is the time for us to reach out as a species. Do you know that the person sitting next to you is probably has more in common than you think? No one could possibly understand. I think you'd be surprised. There are certain commonalities that are beautiful universal themes of tragedy, of triumph, of love regained, love lost. And sharing them is the most beautiful part of humanity. And I urge you to do so in whatever way you can, in whatever capacity you have. It is gratifying to hear your story told in a completely different version. And yet you're still moved as if it's yours. That is what I offer you today to reflect on. That the themes that we all experience are universal. You are not alone. And to empower yourself, you inadvertently empower others. And I invite you to do so. And I will see you tomorrow.